Bikers attack a little girl, then her canine dog teaches them a lesson they'll never forget. Lily Parker, an 88-year-old woman, lives in the town of Willow Creek, a place where time seems to stand still and everything is peaceful and serene. Her small house is located on a quiet street, with houses roofed in red tiles and flower gardens surrounding it. Although age has gradually taken away her strength and the footsteps of her youth, Lily still maintains the habit of taking care of herself, can still tend to her garden single-handedly, and always manages everything on her own. She is not the type of woman who often needs help. In the mornings, Lily still wakes up very early, makes a simple breakfast, and then enjoys a cup of hot tea on the wooden chair in the garden. She always took a moment to watch the thin wisps of smoke rising from the chimney as part of the vivid picture depicting a simple life she had been accustomed to for many years. This scene would be perfect if it weren't for the appearance of Max, the old German Shepherd dog that she cherished. Max is not an ordinary dog. He is a friend, a companion who has been with Lily for many years. Max used to be a brave police dog, but after being injured on a mission, he retired and found a new home beside Lily. Although no longer a street warrior, Max still retained his protective instincts and always stayed close to Lily, like a silent, cautious ghost. And it was Max's presence, with his head turning back, his keen nose always sniffing the air, that added an air of mystery to everything around them. Every evening, when the sunset paints the sky red, the image of an elderly woman with silver hair, walking slowly beside an old dog, strolling along the tree-shaded path, has become a familiar sight in the town. There is a strange tranquility in these moments, but within, it feels as if something is lurking, ready to explode at any moment. Max is not just a loyal friend. For Lily, this dog is the only friend left in an increasingly unfamiliar world. No more family, no more close friends. Max was the only one who understood her, following every step, every glance, as if he already knew what she needed, what she wanted, without her having to say a word. The bond between them transcended all boundaries, and it seemed as if they were the remnants of a story that had never been fully told. That day, an evening like any other, when darkness began to descend upon the town, everything suddenly changed. Willow Creek, a place where no one thought anything noteworthy could happen, suddenly became tumultuous. The motorcycles roared, the loud sounds of the engines echoed through the quiet streets. The entire town seemed to awaken from its peaceful slumber. They didn't know what was happening, only hearing the sounds getting closer. And then motorcycles bearing the shadow of a dangerous biker gang, the Black Reapers, began to invade the town. Willow Creek is not a place where a rebellious biker gang like the Black Reapers would come. Their massive bikes roared like wild wolves in the still night, painting a picture completely opposite to the inherent tranquility of this place. But they came, and it seemed they had no intention of stopping. Lily stood by the window, looking outside. Max sat silently beside her, his bright eyes wide open, ears perked up. There was something in the air that made both of them feel uneasy. Lily stroked Max's back, feeling the tension in its body. They didn't know what was about to happen, but one thing Lily understood very clearly. No matter what happened, she and Max would face it together. When the twilight began to fade behind the tall trees and long shadows started to creep along the path, Lily walked gently home with a bag of groceries in hand. The feeling of comfort after completing the weekly shopping made her smile, although her aging body was no longer as agile as before. In the bag were simple, familiar things: a few ripe tomatoes, a bunch of fresh coriander, and some crispy toasted bread. She always liked to go to the market at the end of the day when the town's atmosphere became even more peaceful and no one was in a hurry. Her gentle footsteps seemed to blend into the quiet atmosphere of the town. But just as Lily stepped out of the small alley near her house, everything suddenly changed. The terrifying sound of roaring motorcycles echoed from afar, shattering the quiet atmosphere of the evening. The flashing lights were like fiery red flames tearing through the night. A group of bikers appeared, gliding through the quiet streets of Willow Creek like giant phantoms. They didn't just bring their roaring bikes, but also a sense of threat, an unexpected intrusion into a place where no one could ever imagine anything happening. Max, with the keen senses of a dog that has undergone countless challenges, immediately sensed the change in the atmosphere. The fur on its back stood on end, its eyes bright as if a dark cloud was approaching. It growled in low, steady bursts, like a warning. Lily paused, sensing the tension in the air. She turned to look at Max, the only friend she trusted in moments like these. The old dog stood firm, ears perked up, eyes fixed on the approaching group of bikers. Those were the signs that Lily had become familiar with over the years. Max was always alert, always protecting her. No need to say anything more. She felt the anxiety in her heart. Although the town was always peaceful, she couldn't help but feel the intrusion of these strangers. The engines roared closer, and then one of them stopped right in front of her. Victor, the man in the black leather jacket, wearing a helmet with a prominent black skull logo, stepped off the motorcycle. He stood there, a smirk passing over his dusty face, his eyes betraying curiosity and cunning. He looked at Lily, then at Max, then back at Lily. "Are you going alone, old lady?" His voice seemed mocking, but also full of menace. Lily clearly sensed the danger in his words, but she didn't want to let her fear show. Trying to stay calm, she took a step back, holding the grocery bag in her hand while closely observing every move of the biker gang. Max still stood in front of her, unmoving. "You don't need to worry. We just want to get to know you," Victor said, smirking, but there was something in his tone that sent a chill down Lily's spine. Lily sensed the danger in his gaze, but she didn't want to show any weakness. "I don't need to get acquainted with people like you," she replied coldly. Victor did not show any anger, but merely smiled faintly, stepped closer, his eyes never leaving her. Meanwhile, the other bikers in the group stood at a distance, their engines roaring, creating a sound like the wind howling through the night. Okayed at Max, a hint of excitement appearing in his eyes. He took a step back, as if assessing the situation, but then moved closer. "This dog seems strong," he said, then turned to another biker in the group. "Be careful. This one probably won't stay still." Lily felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew that if this situation continued, not only she, but also Max would be in danger. But in that moment, she couldn't let herself be scared. Max was here, and she wouldn't let anyone bully him, wouldn't let anyone threaten their safety. But before she could decide on her next move, one of the bikers stepped towards Lily, his voice deep yet somewhat disdainful. "What's up, old lady? Don't want to play with us? We can help you." Lily felt the tension in the air. She looked at Max, and Max looked back at her, without needing to say anything more. Their eyes had a special connection, a profound understanding without the need for words. Max will protect her at all costs, and she will not let anyone harm him. But when another biker raised his hand, as if preparing to charge, everything suddenly became very fast and very dangerous. Lily couldn't stand still. She took a deep breath, and her voice, though gentle but full of determination, echoed in the darkness. "Don't come near me and Max. If you want to pick a fight, I won't let it go." The bikers suddenly stopped. They looked at each other as if evaluating the next decision, and in that moment the air seemed to freeze. Lily and Max stood firm, facing the strangers with determined eyes, not backing down. But the truth is, the most dangerous part is yet to come. The next moments seemed to stretch on endlessly. The tense atmosphere enveloped the small street where the light from the street lamp quietly shone down, creating a perfect picture of a high-stakes confrontation. Lily couldn't take her eyes off Max, her loyal friend, as she sensed the change in the air, a feeling that only those living in danger could truly understand. The feeling of tension suddenly became palpable when a biker with a snake tattoo on his neck approached. He didn't bother to hide the challenge in his eyes. He looked at Lily, then shifted his gaze to Max, as if calculating his next move. His gesture was full of challenge, as if testing what this old lady could do to protect herself. But before he could take another step closer, Max, with the strength and instincts of a police dog that had fought on dangerous streets, charged like the wind. Its strength and speed caught the biker off guard. Max lunged at him, biting hard into his arm, causing him to let out a piercing scream. The biker immediately collapsed, clutching the wound on his arm, while Max remained standing, his eyes fixed on him, as if waiting for further instructions from Lily. The other bikers in the group were stunned. Brother, they had never encountered a dog as strong and fierce as that. Max's actions made them stop, unsure whether to continue or retreat. But as a natural reaction, another biker charged in from the left, wielding an iron rod. He wanted to distract Max, thinking that if he attacked from another direction, he could make Max lose focus. However, Max is not just a brave dog, but also a seasoned warrior. It quickly turned around, easily pushing the approaching biker away with its powerful tail and a strong kick. He didn't have time to understand what was happening before he was thrown out, crashing to the ground. Max continued to stand in front of Lily, not letting anyone get close to her. Lily looked at Max with eyes full of pride and admiration. She knew that nothing could make Max back down, even in dangerous situations like this. But the danger doesn't stop there. Victor, the biker leader of the group, had just pulled a knife from his jacket, the streetlight reflecting sharply off the blade. He looked at Lily with a fierce gaze, as if he wanted to end everything immediately. "You have no way out now," Victor said, his voice deep and full of hostility. Lily clearly sensed the danger, but she didn't have time to panic. In an instant, Victor lunged at her with a knife in hand, but before he could reach her, Max swooped in like a shadow. With a powerful tackle, Max brought him down to the ground, pinning him down with his entire body weight. Victor let out a cry of pain and helplessness as he couldn't move, his hands pinned down by Max's strength, while the knife still lay in his hand, but he could no longer swing it. Max stood firm on him, his sharp eyes never leaving the biker. It knew that even a slight lapse would make everything worse. Lily stood behind, her eyes still fixed on the scene before her, a mix of anxiety and pride swelling within her. Max had protected her, but the danger was not over yet. The situation was becoming increasingly chaotic as the remaining bikers looked at each other in confusion. Some had started to back away, while others clenched their fists, clearly wanting to confront Max. But Max didn't give them a chance. Its growls grew louder and louder, cornering the biker group into a dead end. They knew that they couldn't defeat a dog with fighting instincts like Max, especially when Victor, the leader of the group, had been subdued. And then, when everything seemed to be falling into silence, a police siren echoed through the dark night. That siren wasn't too far away, but it was enough to awaken the anxiety in the bikers. One of the guys in the group quickly turned around to look, as if calculating whether they could escape in time. Lily kept staring at Max while he still held Victor tightly on the ground. The sound of police sirens grew closer, and Max seemed to realize that the police were approaching. With a low growl, Max took a step back, still holding Victor tightly under his claws, not giving him a chance to escape. The group of bikers had no choice but to panic and flee. They stepped back, some even threw their iron rods to the ground, and all of them turned their bikes and fled into the night. The scene just now was more than enough to make them understand that they could no longer challenge Max. In an instant, the noise of the biker group gradually faded away, leaving only the distant roar of engines. Lily stood still, watching the silhouettes of the biker group disappear into the night. Max stood firm, his eyes fixed on Victor, as if he didn't want to let him go even for a second. And just as the biker group had completely vanished into the darkness, the sound of police sirens grew closer. A police car stopped nearby, and a few officers stepped out, hurriedly approaching Lily and Max. "Are you okay?" one of them asked, staring at Max with admiration. Lily nodded slightly, her gaze still fixed on Max. "It's okay." "Max protected me," she said, her voice calm but full of emotion. Her answer was enough for the officers to understand the situation. The remaining bikers, unable to resist, were arrested. The police quickly handled the situation, and afterward, when everything had returned to peace, Lily and Max once again walked home, as if nothing had happened. But deep in her heart, Lily knew that something had changed in this town, and danger always lurked, even in the seemingly most peaceful places. Lily stood still in the darkness, the light from the police car reflecting on the pavement, but her eyes were only on Max, the friend, the comrade, and the one who had protected her in the best way possible. A choking feeling welled up in Lily's heart. She couldn't believe that everything was over and that she was still safe. But the truth is, without Max, she wouldn't know what had happened, whether she could escape danger or not. Lily couldn't hold back her emotions. She hurried towards Max, arms wide open, and without hesitation embraced her beloved dog tightly. Tears streamed down her face. She sobbed like a child, not out of fear, but from an overwhelming sense of gratitude. In that moment, the whole world seemed to fall silent. All worries and fears vanished when she felt the warmth and safety in Max's embrace. Max didn't say anything, but his loyalty and unconditional love were clearly shown through his actions. The dog licked Lily's face, each lick gentle, like a comfort, a promise. I will always be here. I will always protect you. Lily buried her face in Max's warm fur, feeling its steadiness and steadfastness. Even though he is not a human, in Lily's eyes, Max is everything. The dog is not only a loyal friend, but also the only protector, an important member of the family that she cannot live without. While Lily and Max were still standing there, feeling the peace return, a strong footstep echoed from behind. Officer Parker, Lily's esteemed father, hurriedly ran over. He saw his daughter hugging Max, his eyes scanning the surroundings, then looked back at Lily with a worried expression. He didn't say anything, just walked closer and hugged her tightly, pulling her into his arms as a natural reflex of a father who always protects his children. Lily, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? Officer Parker asked, his voice filled with worry, but also with relief at seeing his daughter safe. Although he was a strong man, having witnessed countless dangerous situations in his job, seeing his daughter in this circumstance made his heart race faster. Lily took a deep breath, looked up at her father. I'm fine, Dad, she replied, but her voice was slightly choked. Thank you, Max. It protected you. It helped the police catch the bikers. If it weren't for it, I don't know what would have happened. Officer Parker was surprised, looking from Lily to Max, his eyes full of pride and appreciation. He knew all about Max, the retired police dog, but he couldn't help but acknowledge one thing. Max had always been a warrior at heart. Nothing had changed in its spirit of bravery. Max has always been a great warrior, he said, his voice full of respect. Max looked at him, his deep eyes reflecting understanding, and like a longtime close friend, he turned back to Lily, certain that she would understand and share this feeling. Max didn't need to do anything more. Just a glance said it all. Officer Parker approached Max, patting its back, his rough hands gently touching its thick and sturdy fur. Good boy, Max, he said, his voice full of pride. Not just a police dog, Max is a part of this family. You not only help us with work, but you also protect my daughter. Thank you, my friend. Lily sensed her father's affection for Max, and she knew that, although the words might be simple, they were filled with respect and admiration. Max is not just a working dog, but a cherished friend, an indispensable member of their family. Over the years, even though Max's work has ended, he has always been present, always bringing safety and peace to Lily. And in this moment, Max is not just the Parker family's dog, but a symbol of loyalty, courage, and eternal friendship. Max, Lily said, her eyes filled with tears, but they were tears of happiness. You saved me. Thank you, my child, forever. You are the best friend of my mother. Max looked up, its eyes shining brightly in the darkness. It was a gaze full of determination, as if telling Lily that no matter what happens, it will always be by her side, protecting her and never leaving her. Their relationship, a bond that needed no words but always understood each emotion, is the clearest testament to the unconditional love between human and animal. Officer Parker looked at the scene before him, then turned to look at the other officers who had arrived just in time to apprehend the biker gang. They exchanged a few words, then one of them stepped forward and reported the situation. The situation has been resolved satisfactorily, sir. We have arrested all of them. Everything is fine now. Officer Parker nodded slightly, Bach, his gaze still fixed on Max. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget that it was Max who helped us catch them. He looked into Max's eyes, a gaze full of gratitude and admiration. This dog is not just an animal, it is an important part of my family, of our work. Thank you, Max. Max wagged his tail as if hearing the praise, and though he couldn't speak, in those bright eyes there was a wordless thank you. I always do what is necessary to protect this family. That's all I can do. The entire town of Willow Creek may never know what happened that dark night, but for Lily and Max, they will always remember this moment, a moment when friendship, loyalty, and sincere protection triumphed over all dangers, bringing safety to the one they loved. Beneath the quiet night sky, they continued walking, but this time each step was lighter, more peaceful, as if everything had returned to its rightful place. A week after that tense, dark night event, Willow Creek town had not yet fully returned to its normal rhythm of life. People in the town are still talking about the biker gang and the confrontation with Max. The praises for the brave dog who saved Lily's life never ceased. But there is one thing that everyone knows well: Max does not seek glory or fame. It simply does what it has been taught: protecting the family, protecting the people it loves. However, no one can deny that the story of Max's actions deserves to be remembered. So, on a warm morning, the town decided to hold a special tribute ceremony to honor Max. The entire town of Willow Creek, from the quaint little houses to the cafe on the corner, had prepared for this event. Everyone, from the elderly residents to the children, eagerly participated. Although not everyone knows Max, for them, this dog is a symbol of courage, loyalty, and unconditional love that not everyone can possess. The ceremony was held right in the town's central square, where people often gather on special occasions. Small flags were hung on the lampposts, fluttering in the wind, and cheerful music from a small band played, creating a festive atmosphere. People flocked to the square, each with an eager mood and an undeniable sense of pride. Max, along with Lily and Officer Parker, stood right in the middle, attracting the attention of everyone around. Max stood firm on his strong legs, his eyes still bright and resolute, as if sensing the loving gazes from everyone. Although it did not fully understand the meaning of this ceremony, it could sense the specialness of the moment. Lily stood beside Max, her hands gently resting on the dog's thick fur, leaning against it as an indispensable form of protection. When the ceremony began, the townspeople took turns stepping forward to present bouquets of flowers, small, charming medals, and simple yet meaningful gifts. The children waved goodbye to Max, smiling brightly as if they had seen a true hero. Max, with his gentle and understanding nature, did not show any arrogance. He simply bowed his head gently, accepting everyone's affection with gratitude. Lily and Officer Parker stood still, looking at Max with immense pride. Officer Parker, despite having been dedicated to the police force for many years, could not hide his admiration for Max's actions. He looked at his daughter and the dog with tear-filled eyes. For him, Max was not just a retired dog, but a true hero. When the ceremony ended, a police car appeared, with a special banner on it: Max, the guardian of Willow Creek. That was the gift the town gave to Max, a symbol of courage and loyalty. The townspeople signed the sign together to express their gratitude towards the dog. Officer Parker stood next to the car, clapped once, stirring the enthusiasm of the crowd. This is a victory of loyalty and friendship. Max is an indispensable part of our lives, he said amidst thunderous applause. The story of Max did not stop at Willow Creek. When news of the dog's brave actions spread, it became a great source of inspiration for many people, not only in the town, but also nationwide. The stories were recounted through local newspapers, online articles, and even on television programs. People from all over praised Max's loyalty and bravery. There are long articles with praises, interviews with Lily and Officer Parker, recounting the tense moments before the biker gang was defeated and rescued. However, for Max, all of that means nothing. It doesn't understand why people pay attention to it, and it doesn't need to understand. Max only knows one thing: protecting its family is its duty and its way of life. It doesn't need fame or praise. What it does is completely natural, nothing grand. Every day, it still strolls around the town with Lily, listening to the affectionate calls of the townspeople, and lives a simple, ordinary life just like before. However, Max cannot deny that the affection people have for it is something precious. It doesn't need to express emotions outwardly, but in Max's heart, the love that the people of Willow Creek have for it, along with respect and gratitude, is the most beautiful gift it could receive. On nights without the lights of the ceremony, when Max lay curled up next to Lily in their small house, in that moment of silence, he felt his heart filled with love and happiness. The feeling of a friend who has completed their mission, who has protected the one they love, and will continue to do so forever. At those moments when no one else was around, Lily and Max only needed to silently look at each other, without needing to say another word, to understand each other perfectly. They, more than anything else, are an inseparable part of this life. And although in the eyes of everyone, Max had become an icon, a hero without a costume or extraordinary powers, for Lily, he would always be the most loyal friend, the most loving protector she could ever have. Max never seeks fame. The dog doesn't need praise or attention from others. For Max, all that matters is protecting his family, and that has become his mission. Every day, on the small path of Willow Creek Town, during the twilight when the sun sets, Max only does what his heart tells him: to protect, love, and be loyal. Fame is not Max's goal. The affection of the townspeople, the awards, or the honors, none of those things mean anything to this dog. Max just needs to know that when someone needs him, when his family is in danger, he will always be there, ready to sacrifice everything to protect them. That is the true value to him. The story of Max is not just a tale of a brave dog, but also a lesson in loyalty and courage. Courage is not something that can be measured by muscles or physical strength. True courage comes from the heart, from the determination to protect those we love, from relentless perseverance, and from selfless sacrifice without expecting anything in return. Max, with his strong protective instinct and loyal heart, has shown us that courage sometimes does not need to be demonstrated through great feats or glorious victories. True courage requires only one thing: standing firm and doing what is right, even when everything around you might fall apart. Max's story teaches us that true heroes are not those with superhuman strength or powerful weapons. Sometimes the greatest hero is a loyal friend, someone who will always stand by you in the toughest times without asking for anything in return, simply doing what they must do. Max doesn't need a cape or glorious honors. With his loyalty and courage, the dog became a hero in the eyes of Lily and everyone in the town of Willow Creek. And perhaps for those who witnessed Max's actions, they will forever remember that sometimes true heroes are simple friends, those who quietly stand by us, protecting us with all their heart and strength. Max needs nothing more than love and the understanding that, in every moment, it has fulfilled its mission.